Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to this session on how to identify core competence. When you talk about an organization success, it depends on several core competencies. So in this session, we will try to identify how core competencies are identified. On this slide, the first step is to identify critical success factors, which are based on the 10 key decision areas of operations management. And if you remember, they include goods and service design, quality, process and capacity design, location selection, layout design, and then they also include human resources and job design, then supply chain management. Apart from that, it also talks about inventory, scheduling, and maintenance. The second arrow right in the middle talks about the core competence, which is the combination of or subsets of critical success factors. And the third one is where we attain the sustainable competitive advantage through the execution of strategy. Sustainable competitive advantage depends on core competence and critical success factors, how they are managed efficiently. The more better they are managed, the better and long-term sustaining wise your competitive advantage would be. CSF, core competence, and competitive advantage. Now here we talk about how to identify the critical success factors. The first step is you have to look at this example where we have talked about a restaurant. Let's say its layout design is its critical success factor. The second point is we have to know how to identify the core competence or CC. In that restaurant example, we will consider its quality and the consistency in delivering that quality product and services, the food items, the environment, the ambience, the thematic event-based management style and all, where they talk about fulfilling the requirements of different event management needs, where the quality is consistently delivered. So here we will look at this as a core competence. The third one is we have to find out how to identify the right choice of strategy. Now here we talk about three different options that are available to us. The first one is differentiation. The second one is cost. And the third one is response. So companies have to figure out which one suits them best given the nature of competition that they are in. So they could compete on differentiation, or they could compete on cost, or they could compete on response. Now here, again, back to the previous slide where we have identified now already the critical success factors, and now we have already identified the core competence and the sustainable competitive advantage. Now you see here the layout design turns out to be our critical success factor that leads to our core competence of consistency of quality, and that further leads to our sustainable competitive advantage of differentiation of our product and services, that we offer that value-added product or services that you cannot find elsewhere. Now, this is discussion question A. It talks about the task that must be done particularly well for a given strategy to succeed. So here we identify the task that leads to the strategy success. The second one is here we talk about the activities that leads to the competitive advantage, and we identify here the activities leading to competitive advantage. And the third one here, it talks about the elements that leads to identifying the areas which are vulnerable or susceptible, which needs our attention, so that we can invest more. We can identify the loopholes, we train people, we can identify any other shortcomings, so that we are in advance, ahead of time, ready for taking care of any of those things that may occur in the long run or the short run. So because here we have to identify those loopholes, so we talk about here identifying the possible likelihoods of accidents occurring. If you notice, it kind of circles back into the 10 key decision areas where it was considered as a starting point for our critical success factors. And now here we look at it as the area of possibility where things can go awry or they could go wrong, and we need to identify those, and we have to take the preventative measures to stop anything from happening in the untoward way. So here we look at those, again, the 10 key decision areas, and we have to keep looking at those areas, keep checking them from time to time, because critical success factors are not the only determinants of the competitive advantage. Rather, they provide you with the stage where you can identify and base your core competence. And they help you nurture those core competencies, which eventually and ultimately help you achieve yes, uh, the competitive advantage or sustainable competitive advantage. So that's why it's very important for you to keep looking at it and keep nurturing your critical success factors. Now here we look at the analysis of that case in light of those areas, warehousing, production, and distribution, and we have identified to the senior top management that the issue was emanating from warehousing and not from production. So now you could see here production is in the middle. Now right there you could see on the top left corner right there, you have the activities that are leading towards competitive advantage, and then elements that are leading to likely failures, which we have to stop by identifying those areas needing your investment commitment, training commitment, managerial commitment, so on and so forth. So now here you could identify those areas, and we could identify the central area here where lack of alignment and the lack of sufficient inventory levels and lack of motivation was contributing to all this problem. Now here we further talk about this issue a bit more. This is the activity map, and we have identified the activities, a series of well-coordinated activities behind each of those core competencies leading to competitive advantage. First, we look at product quality and variety. It is because of reliable manufacturing and economies of scope. Then we look at strong distribution network. It is because of trust, credibility, and coordination among the distributors network and the warehouse distributors and the central warehouse locations in each of those 6 countries. Then we look at the this strong product demand, and it was just because of strong brand loyalty and good product performance. And then we look at this increased market share. That is because of our good product performance having strong brand value. Now, this is the current distribution network of Domesco, and we have identified some areas, and we have proposed that they should change it to this one. And here we could come up with more iteration of improvement. We could suggest more changes. We could come up with more combination or configuration of warehouse, the transit warehouse, the retail outlet, and so on and so forth in different countries, and the information hub, by suggesting with some logical reasoning as to why we are suggesting this new distribution network. And I think this is the last slide, and with this we come to a conclusion, and thank you very much.